Dr. Paul. My name is Phil. I've been a fan of yours ever since the last campaign. And I know you said you would immediately bring the troops home. But my question for you is things like abolishing the IRS and the Department of Education, kind of some of the long-term goals. Is that something that could be accomplished in your first 4 years, or will that take the full 8 years at your office?
Well, I'd like to do it very quickly. But you know, in the midst of a revamping of a crisis when a country is totally bankrupt, that would give you an opportunity to say, this is the way it's going to be, because you can't pay all the employees, and you could have, very big changes. But no, you could have. I always have priorities in my mind on what we could do if we were going to work our way out of it, and I think the easiest place to cut is overseas. You can save a lot of money, and probably the place where I want to cut the least would be medical care for children and the elderly. And even though technically you don't have to have it, it wasn't meant to be, but to attack that makes no political sense, and you wouldn't have to if you're willing to cut the other. But I would put Department of Education and Department of Agriculture and Department of Energy and Department of Commerce and Department of Homeland Security, so many other things where they accomplishes nothing, and work on it as fast as possible. But a lot of those, to get rid of them completely, you would probably you'd probably have to get legislation passed on that. If it was made, and the other one I mentioned earlier is challenge some of these things in court and say this is unconstitutional, we shouldn't continue this program, and try to get rid of it that way.
We're going to have time for 2 more questions, and then what we'll do after that, if we could form a line, Congressman will stand at that door, have a chance to greet everybody, get an autograph. If you have a question you didn't get a chance to ask, you'll have a chance on your way out of the room. Wanted to let everybody know you will have your opportunity, and make sure you get a yard sign on your way out too, and stop at the table right outside the door. Get signed up to get to Ames. Get more information. There's campaign materials over on the table over on that wall too, and I'll see you in Ames. Let's do 2 more questions. I'd like to ask this gentleman right here.
Dr. Paul, you mentioned a couple of times today that you've stood in opposition to many others in the legislature. You've introduced some novel ideas. Others have described your ideas, I think today, as visionary, unique. What assurances do we have that you can accomplish these things as a leader in Washington as a unique individual? How can we know that these things are actually going to happen if we send you to the White House?
Well, there's no way to absolutely know that. But one thing you could know is that I won't change my mind in making every single effort to do it. It does take a consensus. The people have to decide what the role of government should be. But what I would continue to do as the country gets into more trouble, the more open they're going to be to these views, and that's where I think we're making tremendous progress. But no, it would take a lot of support. People vote when basically on their own self-interest, which is okay, because but if it's only because it's in their self-interest because they think they're going to steal from their neighbors through their congressman who's going to tax their neighbor for the stuff they want, that is bad. But people vote in their best interest. And my job as a president or a congressman, and the job that you have because you're activist, is to convince people that it is in their best interest to opt out for left's government and not think that big government is your solution.
Congressman Paul, in the 70s, I don't remember what year, an executive order closed the gold desk at the Federal Reserve banks. As a follow-up to this gentleman's question, could an executive order reopen those gold desks where we are allowed to exchange our Federal Reserve notes for either as silver or gold certificates for bullion? And if so, how far would that go to reestablishing a commodity standard? What else would be necessary to actually form or standardize a gold standard for the currency?
Well, an executive order could do it, but it wouldn't accomplish what you want, because what we were doing in 1971 when the gold window was closed, is that we just said that foreigners no longer could put $35 down and get an ounce of gold because they were running out of gold. Nixon said we have to quit doing that. Because you couldn't do it at $35 an ounce, you can't do it at $300 an ounce, you can't do it at $1,000 because gold is selling at $1,600. So the closest thing you can come to is essentially what we have, and that is the gold can be bought and sold at $1,600 plus dollars. But we're not selling the government gold, and I have pursued this a bit. Matter of fact, I pulled this up, called it up to Bernanke the other day about why they hold gold. And if they are true that gold is not money, why don't they just sell the gold? So in your case, you say yes, and I wouldn't really be opposed to that because I believe that the market, if you allow the market to work, the market could pick up competing currencies, gold, silver, a basket of commodities, or whatever. Gold, though, is the ultimate test of 6,000 years. But if you wanted to have a government gold standard and work real hard to keep the integrity of the government such where they honor this, you would have to have some legislation to do that. But simply reversing that executive orders wouldn't be enough.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming out.